What is feminism? If I asked you, what is feminism? What would you say? So let me ask you another question in order to understand this better. If I asked you, what is God? You might give me your definition. If I asked a Hindu, what is God? He might give me a few names, like probably Ram, Sita, Hanuman, and so on. If I asked a Buddhist, what is God? He might also have a few names, or maybe one name. That could be totally different from my version. If I asked a Japanese guy, what is God? He might have, he might have names of some temples or, the names of some people or maybe a few saints. So we all have different versions of different realities that we are used to, and we have our own belief systems, and there is a very, very vast difference in our opinions, in our beliefs, in our practices, and how we define things. You go just the way the diversity of accents and dialects are present in languages. We go just a few 100 kilometers and dialects change. Similarly, our worldview, our belief systems, our definitions, they start changing. So, a lot of people we will find in this life, a lot of people, they will be talking about a term without having more than 5% knowledge or an idea of what they're talking about or what they're following. They might perceive it according to what they want to believe it is, rather than what the real agenda is behind it. So when people are talking about feminism, it's like an umbrella term. It's like a very, very broad spectrum term. And some people start talking about feminism without even knowing what they're talking about or which part of feminism they are okay with and which part of feminism is something that is not even part of their culture and something that they would never stand for. So, in order to understand the reality of feminism, we have to look at the belief system, the core, the values that a person actually belongs to. So, in order to understand feminism properly, I would like to believe that I am also a feminist. But I would not have feminism the way I have French fries and a burger at McDonald's, or any other given branded food chain of my choice. Because this is not something that I'm free to define myself. I have been given certain rules and regulations from the highest authority, that is God. And if I follow those rules and regulations, then I come to realize that it has already been defined for me in a far better way than I could ever imagine to create for myself. Why am I saying this? Because When you study Islam, you realize that it is the most female-friendly religion in the world. In Islam, a man has been promised paradise for raising daughters, treating them well, feeding them, clothing them, educating them. He has been promised the highest level of paradise. And a man has been warned to go to hell if he does not provide and treat his wife well. A man can go to hell for mistreating the mother. A man can go to hell for mistreating the sister. A man has been made responsible for treating kindly even the female relatives from the mother's or the father's side, like his aunts. Feminism is not about stripping your clothes off. Feminism is not about the freedom to take off your clothes whenever you want or however you like. Feminism is not about choosing not to give birth. I mean, that is something even the animals don't do. Feminism is not about starting to feel bad about why God chose you to reproduce, to become a source of new life. Feminism is not about these things. Feminism is not about creating gender dysphoria, creating absurdity regarding inequalities of gender. Why should we compare apples and oranges? Why should we make them compete? Why should we make them rivals when they can harmonize, they can coexist, and they can bring their best to complement each other? Why do we have to keep competing? Two genders that are not the same, yet equally respectable. Let me repeat that. Two genders that are not the same, yet equally respectable. Why can't we promote this instead of creating war of genders? Instead of giving the impression, especially to the young minds, that we have to compete. There is no competition. There is absolutely no competition. We should be promoting equal respect without changing the roles. We must promote and demand equal respect without changing the roles. We don't have to change the roles. And the men who do not adapt to their roles that God has given them, then we don't have to worry. God will sort them out. God will question them about the role that was given to them. And similarly, God will question us. God will question the women about the role that was given to the women. So why do we feel threatened? And what is it that we feel threatened about? There's absolutely no need to feel threatened. And there is absolutely no need to compete. So where lies the problem? The problem lies with people who don't have faith in God, who don't have faith in the promise of God. Modern feminism is a problem of the godless societies. It is the phantom that haunts godless societies. It is not a problem amongst God-fearing people, amongst the people that have the scriptures of God, that have already taken care of women's rights, and in a much better way than a human being could ever define. When you believe in God, you don't need to go into this gender war. You don't need to go into defining your own definition of feminism, and you don't have to become a so-called feminist to get your rights, because God has already given you your rights. Reject any type of feminism that is telling you ladies especially, not to have children. That's absurd. That's completely absurd. The moment they start telling you or feeding into your brain that you should not have children, understand that there is something absolutely satanic about it. And it's not God-sent feminism. Choosing to create gender dysphoria or to wage war against genders, or trying to compete with the other opposite gender and trying to act like them or exchange the roles, or that's just a disproportionate response to the inequality and injustices created by human beings. And it does not in any way justify this self-created, self-delusional sense of competition. We should enjoy our role, both males and females. We should be mindful of our duties, and we should enjoy our roles. And we should be mindful not to do injustice to each other. We should be mindful not to hurt each other. We should be mindful to cooperate and coexist. We should not become rivals. We should not be competing all the time. And we should not be disrespectful. And even if somebody, because of his own lack of education or bad characteristics or lack of good upbringing, if they choose to disrespect your role or your gender, it does not mean that you start competing and start asking for equal roles. It does not mean that you're less respectable.